Welcome back to sometimes AllG'sReact, and I'm your guy Josh, and
I'm Sir Cash. How y'all doing today?
And today's subject matter is, I'll let you introduce this one. I know you're passionate about it.
This one's going to be a subject on Marvel. Speaking from somebody who I briefly read the comics, I'm more of a visual guy. So X-Men, X-Men cartoons, whatever Marvel stuff that I could absorb as a kid, and then, we're going to be talking more about the MCU and the travesty or the downfall of the MCU, which I'm sure there's tons of videos on it, but sometimes I think that there needs to be multiple perspectives because I see a lot of people who might be complaining on the MCU, but they're not hitting on certain topics. Why? So hopefully we can bring a little bit more to the conversation of why the MCU is in the state that it's in right now.
My credentials, I'll let you know right now, I've been super critical of comic book movies for a long time. He is my witness to that. I have been that way, but as a comic book reader, that is why starting off in the early times of comic book movies, you know. You get to an age where when you're young, you're just happy to see certain characters portrayed on the big screen. So you take whatever, like that super slow walking Batman, you know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. But once your reasoning and that type of stuff begins to start settling in, and then you're like, okay, I know how this character is, but then as you transition, you get older, you then begin to compare what you know a character is to how a character is being portrayed. And that right there is something that I would say took me a long time to get over, but once I did get over it, it made some of this entertainment more entertaining versus me sitting there like, Right. That's not Wolverine. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think I can provide the perspective of, even if somebody didn't read the comic books and they might have been in my category of the visual medium, then if we take just even the MCU from, the first Marvel movie, it's debatable. It could either be Blade. In my opinion, it's Blade. But then they said it's really the Incredible Hulk. So let's just say, even from my perspective of watching these movies throughout the years, and I don't have necessarily the comic book knowledge, I can still look at it from a critical point of view of just from the universe that you have established in this live action.
Right.
So you can look at it from comic book, and I'm looking at it from live action, and we're still coming to the same conclusion of what's been going on and why it is in the state.
It's mad inconsistency. And like, I can give you a small example of it before we jump into the topic that we're going to go into, because we're going to talk about a specific movie. But so you got to think about like Wolverine, right? Even if you was to remove the comic book aspect, right? I was so happy to see Wolverine. But when he was first shown, he literally, like, got hit with a tree stump and passed out. Right?
Yeah, his energy level was low.
So he was on chip damage.
Down!
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now, fast forward to, like, the second movie. When the cop shot him in the head.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He fell down. He passed out. And then the guy went crazy. And then the bullet came out, and he got up. Now, if you go to Wolverine's origins, that makes 0 sense. Because when he came out of the tube, Zero shot him in the head, and he went on a rampage.
That's right. Yeah. He was like,
he went on a rampage. And we're talking about, this is Wolverine origins, supposed to be young Wolverine versus older Wolverine who has all that tolerance level built up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But he's passing out from just, log.
Should have just lifted him up in the air and been like, actually, he should have just smelled it like he did. Like he established, even in that movie, I don't want to get too far off the subject because we can go to almost anything, even off of that movie. Remember, he was starting to smell people. He was like, and even from the sense that I got, I'm like, okay, he can be able to tell that there's somebody there. He's already on alert. He stopped what he was doing. He's like,
exactly. And then claws came out.
Yeah.
Chic. And because he knew it was Sabretooth.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he knows that smell.
He knows who it is. It was Sheen, so he got ready, and then it was Phoenix right there, nigga. Down, right on the truck. Down.
Dude wasn't even X Factor yet.
So when I think about that, so if I'm watching that first movie, yes, I'm in my mind as a comic book reader, I'm like, wow, Wolverine went down kind of quick, but whatever, right? But then when you can't portray him, you can't show him in Origins, you're shot by one of the most accurate metahumans. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then he's just, and you can't do that. That you start becoming your own villain with your characters.
Right.
And overlap, bad writing begins to happen.
And I think that leads into exactly what we're going to be talking about.
Yes.
Marvel is suffering from, everybody knows it, consistency and bad writing. That's all that it is. It's bad writing. So the last movie that we just saw, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. This movie, I would say I've watched almost everything Marvel. I have skipped the Kamala Khan TV series. It's for teenage girls. It's not for me. She-Hulk was more like, when I watched it, I was like so turned off because really they wanted to bring you into She-Hulk to see Matt Murdock, to see what would happen with him. Right. And so we'll just start from Phase 4. You know, everybody should be kind of caught up with Phase 4. And so in Ant-Man, what I want to first say off the bat is I haven't been this disappointed in a movie since Eternals. Eternals was trash. I fell asleep in the movie. And this is a movie that this is a movie that I paid money to go see. First of all, the theaters, I haven't seen a packed theater in a very long time, especially any Marvel movie besides Spider-Man.
I was wondering that when we went to go see it. I was like, this is opening weekend, and I was looking, I was like,
we're in a huge theater.
Near us.
We're in a huge theater. We're at the Warren Theater, Grand Infinity, huge screen, and really it's like space, you know, but that's besides the fact. The writing that we're starting to see that's seeping through is, okay, if you have all these movies and the consistency is so far off. One thing we was talking about last night that really kind of prompted us to really just talk about this is the biggest question that a lot of people came away with the Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania was, when Janet came out of the quantum realm, how come she didn't tell her family? The answer to that is because it never was in the script before. Because you had the first movie was Phase 2. The second movie was Phase 3. Now we're in Phase 4. Of course she's not going to tell anything that doesn't exist down there. Which is why when Ant-Man went back into the quantum realm, whenever they were trying to get those healing particles or whatever for Ghost, she would have said, if Kang was in there, hey, don't go in there because there's this guy. I tried to get my best out of it. She was just standing back watching Ant-Man in there like, hey, do your thing, get them healing things or whatever.
That's a great point because you're right. I didn't think about that till you said it, and I was just like, he's right. It didn't exist.
It didn't exist.
So she can't do what her character's supposed to do because it doesn't exist yet for it.
It's the Palpatine is back moment. That's exactly what it is. We got to find some way to shoehorn Kang in here, and we got to have a big bad because really at the end of the day, Marvel wants to one up itself, and we have seen essentially so far, in my opinion, we've seen the end of Marvel, and it ended with Endgame. It was a climactic. It took so long, 10 years to get up to Endgame with all these small stories and stuff like that. And even when we was introduced to Ant-Man was always based off of like, you know, he's a small guy, not necessarily an ant, but he deals with kind of local small things, nothing world-ending. In Phase 4, we was also discussing that everything seems to be the end of the world, and there's always this secret society. Yeah. It's copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. Copy. Yeah. And so in doing so, me as an audience member, I'm like, Shang-Chi just saved the world. Oh, wow. Scarlet Witch just saved the world. Oh, man, she's already dead. Eternals just saved the world when Thanos wasn't there. Why? Because they wasn't written in the script.
Not yet.
Eternals wasn't written in the script. So, of course, you have to introduce something and then try to explain it away and hope the audience accepts, like, you know what? I believe that these gods or whatever these deities are, and Druid, the way Druid was when he took a whole society to himself and lived. Yeah, I believe that they just kind of like, nah, we're just going to sit back and not let that happen. Too much stuff is happening because it hasn't been written in the script. And they're trying to bring all that in and try to hope the audience eats it up. And Marvel seems to think that their audience is the same age they were when Iron Man dropped. And that's not true. The audience has grown up with it. Because even my kids, I haven't taken them to see it, but I know my kids, and they would just be like, dude, this is boring. It's end of the world stuff. We've seen this already. We can watch Disney Plus and watch a different version of Ant-Man in a different movie.
Yeah.
It's bad writing, and I'll end it on that part so I can get your take in.
So for me, this is what I believe is happening, because at the end of the day, we have to look at, we saw what happened with like Zack Snyder and with Warner Brothers, right? These places, they're companies, is what they are. So when you have a merger, they're grabbing Lucasfilms, you know what I'm saying? They're grabbing Marvel. Disney is like merging all this together, and what they're doing is they're saying, you right here, you're a part of this billion-dollar franchise from Star Wars, or you're from this billion-dollar franchise from Marvel. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna take you, and that's what they're doing. You get what I'm saying? Not realizing that while they're part of that billion-dollar franchise, you have all these other people that kind of help whatever that thing was that was good become that. You're just pulling an element out and saying, if I pick the best of all the elements, that then this team can always produce for us the great element.
I got a good point on that. Here it is. It's trying to create two different dishes out of the same pot while using essentially the same ingredients. Because one thing that we was talking about when we seen the movie, because, you know, if I'm into a movie, I'm generally not going to talk.
Right.
But if I was turning out, we was talking all the time. And then there was at one point, we were like, dude, is this a Star Wars movie? Because they had almost a Katina scene. All you needed to see was that band. And, they literally went to Star Wars.
They went to Tatooine, like you said.
Yeah, they went to. So I'm looking at Star Wars, even the stuff that they're wearing, and I'm like, dude, this seems like a Star Wars thing. Matter of fact, remember when we walked out, we seen another couple of guys. I was like, dude, this seems like a Star Wars movie. He's like, that's what I told my homeboy. Because you know why? Because you're trying to make two different dishes out of the same pot using the same ingredients. When I seen what is the daughter's name? Cassie Lane. She reminded me of Rey. You know, kind of a snarky white girl with kind of brown hair. She seems to kind of get everything pretty quickly.
She just gets it.
Yeah,
she just gets it.
No consequences.
Right.
And another thing that Marvel is doing is bringing in females, which men, let's squash this. Men don't have a problem with female characters at all. It depends on how they're written. And so Marvel seems to bring in, is like, if we bring in a female, or if we have to bring this female up to age, she has to be super smart, she has to get everything right, and she has to face zero consequences.
Zero consequences at all.
I could chastise my father, or I could chastise somebody who I want to emulate but be better than. You know, how does Cassie have the room to talk down on her father? Like, dude, you knew what he did, and compared to what you're doing, you're at a riot and you're just stealing cop cars, which doesn't make sense. Oh, spoilers. Anyways, she's stealing cop cars, but somehow she doesn't free herself out of jail, but she somehow still had the suit.
Right.
Why would you be in jail? Why would you you're going to arrest me? You're going to steal the cop car, but then get arrested and then wait until somebody gets you out? It's bad writing.
It's horrible. It's the...
Let
me back up, son. Let me back up. So, when they got their ride, and first off, the sound effects are the same as Star Wars.
Right.
The whale sounds, the creature sound, like all that was just the same.
Let me use that sound file real quick.
Yeah.
Does that label Star Wars? Let me click that.
Same sound guy who's worked Disney, Marvel, Star Wars. Here he is again. You get what I'm saying? And what they were saying was, we need the whole little quantum verse to seem otherworldly. So what's otherworldly?
Yeah. What do we have to pick from the otherworldly? Oh, we got Star Wars. Oh, we got Star Wars. We can use some of their palettes and stuff.
Star Wars is otherworldly, and so it's just way too much stuff that's just being okay. Oh, you know what? We already got all the Star Wars suits, so we don't need to, you know what I'm saying, have anyone else make anything else. And then when I see them dudes with them, like, the little metal shades on, with the little small eyes, I was like, Star Wars.
Right.
Star Wars.
Right.
You if you're going to succeed, if you want to succeed, you can't do what Cashier said, which is, you know, two dishes out of the same pot.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not going to work. It's going to taste the same. And eventually... Every time there's a trailer shown, everyone's just going to be able to be like, yeah, this is going to be in here. Yeah, that's going to be in here. Yeah, that's going to be in here. And that's what's going to happen. And that's the problem when you merge major companies like that and you just start picking the best out and just being like, okay, that's all we need. The rest of y'all fired.
We even got to the point to where there's that guy who was like the good guy, the heavy, as we call him. There's always that heavy character who's going to be like, he doesn't say much, but he's always come in and does the heavy lifting or the heavy beating down.
Yeah.
We called it 30. Matter of fact, early in the movie, like, he's going to die in some weird, traumatic way and stuff like that. And then, of course, as soon as he died, we both look at each other like, called it. It shouldn't be that predictable.
You definitely, yeah. He was like, yeah, this guy's going to die. And
right.
They're going to make emphasis on it. And then, like, when he blew his head up, I was like, wow.
Right.
He called it.
Even if you could do a side-by-side. So when Kylo Ren came off, maybe, I think it was the first Star Wars movie. I'm not a big Star Wars fan, but I'll kind of watch the movies to kill time. Mm-hmm. So when Kylo Ren comes off of whatever, his TIE fighter, jet fighter, whatever they are, he always seems to walk downstairs and he has troopers with him. And so when I seen Kane come in, it immediately reminded me when they showed a zoomed out part of his city. You had essentially the stormtroopers, and then you had Kylo Ren. Essentially, that's what you had, because they're like, first of all, where did you get all these? Are these even people? What are these?
What are they?
What are they? And you have this Bill Murray. Is he a human down there? How are they breathing? Because they're smaller than oxygen molecules. So, like, you guys are not even being consistent with that. If there was a way that it could have been written just a little bit better, when the mother, Janet, was down there, Janet could have had a flashback scene to where whenever she saw Kang and stuff like that, when Ant-Man came into the quantum realm, because remember, she's somehow entangled with him.
Yeah.
Well, apparently Janet was entangling with a couple of dudes down there.
couple of species.
Yeah, so how did she get her memories into him, or how did they quantum entangle to where she could talk through him in Ant-Man 2? Remember that?
Yeah.
That didn't make sense. But then you have Ant-Man 3. It's like, how come Kang didn't entangle her to where Kang would talk through her in the real world? Because they actually physically entangled.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, they try to make it seem like, dude, she was down there getting smashed. Another question, another plot hole is, okay, if Scott was down there during the blip, he was down there for 5 years. He said it was 5 hours, right?
Yeah.
Janet was down there for 30 years, which should have been 30 hours. According to the writing that they have set forth. This is your foundation, so this is what you have laid forth for us to believe. So 30 hours, how come you look way older than the time that you actually went in? Scott went in there for 5 hours and came out looking the exact same.
Right. I didn't think about that either.
Yeah. 30 years is 30 hours.
Yeah, I didn't think about the time lapse between the two places.
Oh, yeah, but then they'll say, well, these ants went down there, we went down there, and they experienced thousands of years of evolution. And, like, evolution, how does evolution work in a quantum realm?
How?
That doesn't make sense.
When he said it, I was just like, wait.
Mumbo jumbo.
Wouldn't you all experience that same...
Wouldn't anybody who comes from the outside realm into the quantum realm experience some sort of time dilation?
You should.
Yeah. The rules have to work the same. It's not like, well, these animals can? That doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. That's when he said it in the movie, I was just kind of like thinking like, okay, so all of y'all should experience that because you all went down there at the same time.
Mm-hmm. If you're foreign to the quantum realm, if you don't exist in the quantum realm as being born or derived from the quantum realm, then anytime you go into it, you should experience time dilation.
Yes.
And so
they
didn't do that at all.
Mm-mm. Look, the overlapping is going to be a big problem for Marvel if they don't change it. But right now they're just trying to get that same formula. You can see nothing can be serious for more than 3 to 4 minutes. Mm-hmm. It's always going to be an interjected joke or a Captain Obvious type situation. And they're just sitting there with that little baster, like just trying to like, all right, just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Just a little bit. Mm-hmm. And it's not going to work.
Right.
You're going to lose the potential. You're going to lose a big audience. And they're going to shift somewhere else if you don't get it fixed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We had Jar Jar Binks in there, which was the little dude.
Oh yeah, I have holes.
Yeah. Look at me. And
it doesn't make sense at all.
I'm going to do something useful now. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, kids, is this funny? I have holes. No, it's like that anime, like the Drop to the side.
Yeah, you just seeing the same characters. So let's talk about our female Janet or whatever, right? Marvel has this thing where they're like, if you do something for the right reason, it can't be wrong.
Right.
And we seen that when I want to get back to my daughter, right? Oh, a mother's love. This is what they're trying to like insinuate for you to be like, oh, okay, I see that, a mother's love. And then I just helped this stranger. You have no idea who he is. He shot one eternal enemy and saved you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then now you're like, oh, I'm gonna help this guy.
This is a good guy. How do you put that together?
Yeah, like if you know how dangerous this place is, which I don't know how that works with this little flashback part, but if you know how dangerous this place is, all these different people are here or whatever. Are you just gonna trust some dude who crashed there instantly? But then figure out how dangerous he is. But like you said, it wasn't written.
Right.
Figure out how dangerous he is. But not let nobody know that that type of person is down there.
Right.
You've seen everything he can do once you touch his chair.
Right.
Everything. Worlds destroyed. That's what we said earlier about there being like world-ending issues.
Yeah, everything's world-ending issues.
But they don't be calling each other. You know what I'm saying?
Not at all.
So that makes absolutely no sense for you to know this is a world-ending situation. She's like, how many universes have you destroyed? And then you just come out here like, oh, I'm so happy to be out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. And it's like,
right.
Hey, did you not notice a person down there who's very powerful, destroys universes?
Who obviously got exiled. He said, I got exiled here. And, why? What happened? Why? Because she just wanted to smash. Like she said, she was lonely. Why did they make it a point to be like, I've heard it when Bill Murray was kind of like, I'm human in the places that matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember that from Vigilante 8. I may be half human, but I'm all woman. Remember that whole commercial from Vigilante 8?
Yeah.
So when it comes to the female Janet, her point of views didn't line up with her character, because technically, how did she even get into the quantum realm? She had to shrink small so she could stop a missile from the Earth being destroyed or from some nuclear event happen. So that was already her character established, that she would actually sacrifice her life to stop the quantum realm. Then why would she quantum entangle with Scott to try to get out? Like, no, if you know that he can't get out because of this thing after you entangle with this ship, if you know that he can't get out, then you should have just stayed there itself. He's like, you know what? I'm going to stay here to make sure this guy can't get out. No, I wanted to get back out because of my daughter. But you knew that was going to... You knew that had a possibility of him getting out as well. Because obviously if you can get in there and then you've seen Scott came in there, it was like, oh, okay, there's a way out. Yeah, because if you can get out, then Kane knows there's a way out, because they exiled him into a place there was no time because they figured he couldn't get out. What is that, like the mirror dimension in Superman? Where does Superman send people?
I can't think about it right now because it'll throw my brain off. I'm trying to stick to the whole what we're talking about right now.
Okay,
but you're right.
Basically, exile to a place that you shouldn't be able to get out of.
Right, exactly.
Except this dude has already lived he's lived multiple experiences. He's conquered different, obviously, versions of himself.
Yes.
Okay, anyways.
Now, we got to move over to Kang, because we don't really have a whole lot of time. So we got to move over to Kang.
All right.
Jonathan Majors did his job as an actor. Okay. He was just written so bad.
Right.
So bad. I don't know if they're like, hey, only Thanos can have that moment, you know what I'm saying, as a villain, so we can't give no one else the moment. But Kang's character becomes completely, like, not relevant whenever he can't kill important characters.
He becomes a cartoon villain. He becomes I'm going to tell you my speech. I'm going to stop doing the thing that I can do to destroy you easily. This dude was shooting like photon beams or optic beams out of his hand, and he was just like destroying the rebellion.
The rebellion.
He was destroying the rebellion. And then he was like, you know what? Okay, I'm done.
Yeah. You can't say, like you said in the movie, you can't say you killed multiple Avengers.
Oh, yeah.
and you struggling like this.
Right. So there is, from what I've been seeing in film, there is, don't tell the audience. You need to show the audience. Show, don't tell. So, hey, have I killed you before? Are you the one with the hammer? So me as an audience remember, Marvel, I'm not the same age I was, even though I was in my 20s when Marvel started, even though, late 30s now, I'm not looking at it from the same point of view. So you can't expect me to believe that this Kang has killed Thor. Thor. Not just one Thor, multiple versions of Thor. He's gotten so efficient at killing Thor, it's kind of like, I forget names after a while. That's how he comes off as like, have I killed you before? Dude, I've killed so many, I don't even remember.
That's a good point.
So, if you want me to believe that this dude is a big bad, you failed completely. Because now it's kind of like the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars and stuff like that. See, when you said we don't want Kang to have kind of like a Thanos moment, there was no movie called Thanos Dynasty or Thanos this. You just knew that he was coming because he was in the background, and he was just intimidating, just sitting in a chair. He was just kind of, because you kind of knew the small little, I would say the low level enemies kind of looked up to him and was like, hey, leave that alone. Yeah, leave him alone. As we get introduced to Kang, it's more like, hey, on the previous episode of Marvel, did you see what happened in Loki? Yeah. Here he is. Here he is. And now, get to watch this episode. Listen to what he said he's going to do. I've killed hundreds of them. Oh, okay. You show, don't tell, and it really just kind of like, it falls flat. If anything, Kang should have killed Ant-Man. Should have been like, hey, I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to kill you. I'm just going to show him I'm going to kill you. And you know why? I expected it because of the way Marvel's been kind of doing their OG heroes as compared to whoever they're trying to bring in now. Really, Kang should have just been like, bah, bah. He should have put that Creed 3 on him, bah, 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 photon him, and then soon as, it would have been cool. That's how I would have set up the scene. Ant-Man and Kang, they rocking each other, or really Ant-Man just getting rocked by Kang.
Like he should be.
And then he literally kills him. And he wants to make it personal, so when you kill somebody in that aspect, or when you end somebody, we'll have to edit that. When you end somebody, maybe just like a chokehold and have the life taken out of him, whatever. And then as he drops Ant-Man to the ground, he turns around and look at that portal because the family can see that this is happening. And soon as that portal's still opening, and as you drop Ant-Man, then you see Kang starting to walk to the portal because he's ready to get out. And then you got to hurry up and close it. Then this dude is not playing. This is another one in the bag. And then that would have been like, oh, snaps, Ant-Man's gone. He left on a high note. He left with his book deal. Yeah. He left with everybody loving him. Yep. He left with a relationship with his daughter. That's true. Hope, Henry, or whatever the rest of the Pym family is. He left a hero. But now it's up to them to tell everybody, hey, Kang is that guy.
Yeah, he coming. Kang's coming. Kang's coming.
Right.
Yeah. That would have been perfect.
Yeah, because the family, when you are ended in front of your family, and hey, this ain't nothing to me. I dropped the body, and I just like, all right, it's time to get up out of here. Like this dude is somehow gonna get out. Not him being like, MODOK coming in, saying what he said, and then he getting overran by ants.
So. For me, I was thinking, even if he had at least killed Janet, it would have been okay.
Somebody. Or the daughter.
Well, see, my thing was, I was thinking, because I was kind of thinking like you. If we got rid of Ant-Man, she'll take Ant-Man's spot. Right?
Which seems to be a female version of almost every male.
Right. That's what I was thinking going into this movie. Like, they may do that.
Right.
So, but when I was saying, like, all right, she's not going to die because MODOK had, like, 5,000 times to be able to kill her and didn't do it. So, if MODOK's not going to get that done, she's not dying. So, I instantly knew she ain't dying. But I was thinking, Janet can definitely die. You know what I'm saying? You can pull that from Henry Pym, and you can set that up because, first off, it's her fault.
She paid for her sins caught back up with her.
Yes. Yes.
And that's the accountability.
Yes.
No accountable. Like,
yes.
I get to get out.
Yes. That's what I was thinking. That's the accountability. You started a war where you fought this dude. You left everyone else there to fight this war because there's probably rallied behind you because you're the one with the information of how bad he is and how dangerous he is and all this.
Because those people were just in hiding. The rebels were just in hiding. They was hiding from Palpatine. This is so Star Wars. The rebels were over there on their planet, and the Sith or whatever side, whatever the bad side was over here doing their thing. Kane wasn't worried about them. He was just only looking for, hey, I need a way out. I let y'all exist. But then, once the, let's just say the Ant Clan came in, things started to pop off.
Right. And so I was like, all right, if he kills Janin, the whole scene with the ants becomes justified and way better. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, because that gives him like the reason, like, yeah, I found my ants. And then he's the one actually ending Kang because you just took his wife. No, that's not what we get. We get this whole... Everyone's happy. Even when Wasp came back into the portal to help Ant-Man, I was like, oh, they trapped there.
Right.
That's what I was thinking. Nope. Like something you ain't even mapped yet.
Yeah. It was supposed to be the Hubble telescope for the quantum realm. You did not know it. She's like, yeah, we just like made it in the basement. Like, no, you didn't. Stop having like these... Once again, Marvel, you expect me to believe that the smartest tech genius, he had to build a suit in a cave. That's way more believable with the materials that he had than some girl who was... this is what they don't explain. I'm trying to sift through this.
Yeah.
They do not explain how Hope had somehow built the machine. Did she build it in the blip time frame? Because in the blip time frame... all three of them were gone. Everybody was gone. So when did she have time to build a quantum realm telescope? It doesn't make sense. This is something that Hank Pym, because remember they said in the movie that she was studying our notes and we came up with this. Like, you've been searching for your wife for 30-something years.
Right.
And you didn't come up with it, but this girl came over for a weekend and was like, oh, you just have the red and blue wires mixed. There you go. There you go, Grandpa. No, that doesn't make sense. She hasn't been established as being smart. Her dad was an engineer, but that doesn't, just because your father's an engineer doesn't make you some type of genius. That doesn't make sense at all.
Here you go, Grandpa. Yellow, white.
Yeah, like how you look at an old VCR. No, I got audio but no video. Yeah, you got to switch the red, white. Here you go, Grandpa. Cassie, you're a genius. That's how we got it fixed. There we go. We did it.
That's too funny.
But it didn't make sense in that aspect of it, and so I have no problem with establishing characters and wanting to bring in great characters that you feel like you have to write them well, because you have to want me to come into this world and believe the ground rules, but you're changing up the ground rules so much, you're almost starting to look like how DC was looking with you're looking more like X-Men now.
Yeah.
All these different X-Men, like, this is not making sense at all. Right. To the point to where I'm worried now about what's Blade going to be about. How are they really going to do a Deadpool? Because what you said earlier is how you're going to eventually lose audiences. You're going to lose an audience if you mess up Deadpool. You're going to lose a huge audience if you mess up Blade. People are going to be like, you know what, I'm done. I'll eventually catch it on Disney Plus, and I'll probably just stream it after that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pay to see movies like this.
That's my rating for Quantumania. Catch it when it's free. I'm talking about like free too.
Yeah.
I ain't talking about streaming services because you still paying for that. I'm talking about like it's on like TNT or like USA or something like that. One Sunday afternoon.
Right. Like
you know what I'm saying? After the game, like, oh, it's a Quantumania.
Or really just watch a YouTube review on it, because honestly, it doesn't propel the story. So this movie was a filler episode in anime. Okay. You didn't have to see it because it doesn't advance anything. You're seeing something in Ant-Man that's already been told to you in Loki series. And technically, even after Ant-Man movie, there's an episode or there is a preview of the next Loki season. So they're literally telling you, hey man, we just had to put something in this slot.
Yeah.
That's it.
I have to agree with you. I think it is a filler movie. I think it was we had enough stuff shot. Let's finish the next, 30 minutes of shooting, and then we'll make it a movie and try to get some money out of it. Like, Jonathan Majors, you're already here for, the Kang Wars, so why don't you come over to this studio and we'll just, have you shoot a couple more scenes, And that's what it feels like to me.
Right.
It feels like the characters are already there for the bigger thing, and they was just like, hey, we can actually use this, do about 30 minutes of shooting. We already got these scenes right here.
Mm-hmm.
Because
just a green screen
when she touched the chair and they showed him in there fighting, it's the same exact fight when he jumped down there and started fighting the rebels.
Right.
Same thing. And like if you go back and look, he's in the same position in that little memory thing doing the same thing.
Right.
So they were just reusing stuff, and I was just like, John Majors, hats off to you, bro. You did your job.
Right.
I'm sorry that they wrote you to just lose like this.
Yeah, lose to Ant. Man, no, lose to literally ants, because Ant-Man didn't beat you. You just lost to ants. You got somehow overwhelmed because your battery levels needed to charge up for you to use your beam again. Because in reality, you shouldn't have lost even remotely. You should have went through there and you should have devastated one of them off jump. Hey, you could have had Kang show up to Janet being like, hey, you know what? I'm going to smoke you out. And guess what? The rest of the Ant family or Ant clan should have still been down there. Mm-hmm. Reeling from the death of the mother. But then you still know you got to take care of Kang. Because then he becomes immediately a bigger threat. Yes. And honestly, you should have took some cues from Infinity War. Because how do we get introduced to Thanos? We've seen him in snippets. Yeah. Just doing it. And then he eventually said, I'll do it myself even though it's the wrong glove. Whatever. What was the first thing Thanos did? Oh, Loki, you gonna try to cross me? Snap it. Yeah. You're done. And I'm gonna do that in front of your brother. No more resurrections this time. Deuces. Dramatic.
Perfect timing. Exactly. Oh, you have a big brute that can thinks he can get with me. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Yaga, sleepy time.
Right.
Gone.
Right.
Now I'm a super threat. I just took out your big warhead because that's what they kind of use the Hulk for. He's the big warhead guy.
Right.
Demolish stuff.
Right.
He's gone.
You automatically knew Thanos was not playing.
Right.
I was like, oh, okay, this dude ain't playing.
I'm finna get this stuff done. Like I said I was. No, not Kang. No.
And even his homeboy was like, let him have his fun.
Yeah.
So Thanos is like, bro, I can body somebody real quick. Let me just body this dude real quick.
You know what I'm saying?
All right, let me get back to my crystal. And you didn't write Kang like that, but you want us to believe that Kang is worse. What are you going to say next in like a what if? Are you going to say, well, Kang beat Thanos and he did all this stuff? Like, did he though? Did he really? Because if you take just right now, and I know it's still early in the series, but are you going to really say that Kang can take care of Thanos just based off of how the characters are written?
Like what we see?
No.
Like it's not happening.
You could ask the audience right now, who would you take in a 1v1, Kang or Thanos? Like, Thanos ain't no joke.
Exactly, because that's
not from what I've seen.
Because that's how you messed up that character. He Who Remains had been fighting all these other Kangs. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? He'd been fighting the Avengers. Mm-hmm. If that's supposed to be his resume, really? Really?
Yeah.
We're not even talking about comic books for him being able to fight like Doctor Doom and stuff like that. Like, we're just talking about from what you've shown us. It doesn't add up.
Yeah, you're telling us that he did it, but you're not really showing us because really a dude of that power level really should have easily wiped it out. Kang didn't even need an army. He'd be like, it's just a guy in a chair. Yeah, I don't need nobody. I don't need nobody at all.
Another thing, the repetitive do the same thing over again.
Two armies doing like this. And it looked like if you look at it through the lens of Endgame, even with the same color palette, it looked like when the ants and the rebels were coming in, it looked like when Falcon was like on your left, and everybody came in, and then you have Thanos doing like this, and it's still the same thing. It's like, hey, how can we do this? Let's just change the camera angle to this one, and then just make it with ants, and then we'll have the same thing. This old school way of just fighting each other. Why? These people are futuristic. I don't think in the future people are just going to be like, fight! Bro,
everyone's rushing each other. No, that's right. We used to do that in the 17th century.
Right, it's the 17th century, apparently in the future. And so, no, when Kang did his little beams and stuff like that, I was like, okay, that's a little bit more realistic, but at the end of the day, he got overwhelmed. They made him look bad. They made the family kind of like, hey, everything's happy. Let's just go home to celebrate a birthday that wasn't a birthday.
It wasn't a birthday. It's the constant when characters have like helmets that close and they can still talk and do other stuff. When you see the mugs open up for them to monologue, you just know that there's no real severity of what's happening.
Yeah, that's what I really
MODOK never needed to open his mask at all. He was talking out, with the mask on, so he never needed to open it to be like, now there's nowhere left for you to run. No, he could have just been blasted her and then went and started handling some rebels. Like, he never needed that.
What did MODOK kill, or what did he destroy? Some rebels.
Yeah.
Okay. There's always that, the shiny stormtrooper, the one that, I'm bigger than the other ones. I'm not the big bad, but I'm close to the big bad.
The one with the little flag cape.
Yeah. Like I'm a sergeant. I can do some stuff. But can you really?
Gun.
Yeah.
Different RPMs.
Yeah. So it's kind of like
it's another thing. Leaving Janet with the stormtroopers essentially, and her always being able to one up them. She did that like multiple times. And
pulling out the Star-Lord gun.
Yeah,
like that Star-Lord's gun. I've seen that.
You kick him, all that. I'm like, Kang's smart. If he had to recapture her because that happened, he's not gonna do that again.
Right.
She would have been in one of them cells where Ant-Man and Cassie was at, like just down there.
First of all, why did Kang leave them in their suits in cells? Like, hey, that suit you wearing? Hey, you need to run that. Hey, run that suit real quick. You ain't about to have no powers up in here.
Picked him up, turned him over, shook him out.
Yeah, hey, give me that suit. Dad, I don't have my suit. I'm sorry, Cassie. So at the end of the day, Kang didn't seem smart. Like, smart, bro. They wrote him as a cartoon.
They did,
and that's the whole basis of what we're saying is that Marvel's audience has grown up. You're not going to attract a younger crowd with that, because as parents of a younger crowd, they're not going to fall for that, because they're like, man, I'd rather watch TikTok. This is stupid.
Yes.
This ain't even like compelling. And I was telling him that even last night, I went back and I just watched 3 movies. I watched The Winter Soldier, then I watched Age of Ultron, and then Civil War. And in 2 of those movies, the director is the Russo brothers in Civil War and The Winter Soldier. And you see more of Marvel allowed them to write and direct the movie in their own way. Now Marvel in this phase is seeming to bring in all these no-name directors, and it's showing. Because you know why? Marvel already has a script, which is why Marvel can't bring in some big director. If Michael Bay directed an Avengers movie, that'd be hilarious, but I would watch it.
Of course.
But you know why? Michael Bay probably can't ever come in. Christopher Nolan can't ever come in, because they want to be like, no, I want to write this. No, this is done.
Yeah, because they're going to read the script.
Yeah, our script is already pre-written. We just want you to shoot it. I'm like, you really don't even need me.
Right.
You just want, I'm going to get a little bit of money off of this. It's not really going to increase my fame, because if you're the director of Ant-Man, and then that movie isn't hitting what it's supposed to hit, is it helping you or is it hurting you? Yeah, you might get paid, but it's like, the last movie you did was Quantumania. It was kind of trash.
That's what
to the critics.
Yeah, right.
The audience score might be higher, and I don't know where that comes from. I think some things are boosted, so I really don't.
Of course.
But honestly, the scripts are pre-written. Everything is happening the same. Everything's becoming predictable, and you're not going to bring in no new directors who be like, hey, I need a fresh take on this. Because these scripts seem to, they've come out of an AI-generated bot, or some NPC has written it.
Chat AI.
Yeah, Chat GPT is now writing Marvel movies.
Chat GPT is here like, yeah, do this. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Like, those more established directors and writers, they're not going to come in on that, because that's not what Marvel wants. Marvel just wants to, like I said, they grabbed all that talent, and now it's more like a slave shop, basically. Just keep pumping this out. Keep writing. All right, we already have anything. You've done directing for like 5 years. Here, direct this movie. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it is. And that's why you're not finna get, like you said, Christopher Nolan's not finna come in and do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not finna do that, because they're gonna read the script and like, this is garbage.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's why Snyder wanted his Snyder Force. He was like, no.
Right.
That's not how I wanted this to go. I want it to go like this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But WB's like, no, we want it to go like this.
Yeah, we wanted to have Marvel money.
Yeah,
like, no.
Joss Whedon, come in, put the jokes in, blah, 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 blah. And it was garbage. So, yeah. Hey, catch this free. I'm talking about like free on TV. I give it a rating of dumpster juice. Quantumanium is dumpster juice. Do not pay to see that.
Yeah, I will have to agree with you on that. It's just uninspiring, unentertaining. I'm not looking forward to anything else dealing with Marvel opening day. I actually told him I'm not watching anything Marvel opening weekend anymore. It has to be something that I really, really want to see. But for right now, you've lost the opening day money from me.
Yeah.
I'll catch you when it's a little bit cheaper, or I'll just like, look, I'll read some reviews. I don't want to spend my time with you guys because obviously the ship has left and I'm not on it. I'm not saying Marvel has to cater to people like us, but you're starting to once you lose your general audience,
the rest
then you're not going to have anything else. You know, you're going to go right back to animated or whatever. But you're cooking out of the same pot with Star Wars and Marvel, and it's starting to be glaringly obvious now.
Very obvious.
So yeah.
Golly. But that's gonna do it for us, man. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We will catch y'all later, and we are out.
Peace.